Hello and welcome to the Vaults of Terra. My name is Ed and today we're going to be continuing our overview videos with a look at the Tyranids. Now the Tyranids are one of the more popular Warhammer 40,000 races and have been around for quite a long time, so their look has definitely evolved over the last 25 years in the Warhammer 40,000 lore, so there is quite a lot of contradictions and overridden facts which will be presented later on in their videos. However, today I just want to do a brief overview of who they are and what they are. Now the Tyranids, also known collectively as the Great Devourer, are an extra-galactic alien race. Now this means they come from beyond the Milky Way, so are not native to this galaxy. Their sole purpose observed at this point appears to be consuming all biological matter in their path to reproduce and evolve, taking on other required inorganic substances in the process. So an external comparison could be made to the Borg crossed with the xenomorphs, which is a rather terrifying crossover, I think you'd agree. Now their technology is based entirely on bioengineering. Every function is fulfilled by a living being, from the largest of their space vessels to the smallest microbe. All are Tyranid, and all follow the orders of the Hivemind. To consume is their only goal. They cannot be reasoned with and are so numerous that their arrival possibly heralds the end of all life in the galaxy, to be consumed and reused to further the evolution of this truly Xenos menace. Now the origins of the Tyranids is unclear, other than that they are an extra-galactic race and have travelled for unknown millennia to reach the Milky Way. We do not even know which galaxy they originated from, or how long they have spent on their rampage of consumption, with some saying it has happened since the beginning of time, whilst others say specifically that they have consumed over 1,000 galaxies and millions, if not billions, of intelligent species. This is of course a lore clash which we will clean up later on. Even their name is not their own. It comes from the planet from which they were first sighted, the planet on the eastern fringe of the galaxy known as Tyran or Tyran, depending on who you ask. Since that time they have continued to invade in massive hive fleets, stripping the biomass of planets in their path as they head west across the galactic plane, inexplicably heading towards Holy Terror itself. Now we know externally that this is actually them being drawn to the Astronomican, as it is a beacon of psychic energy directed into the warp, something the Hivemind may use to locate its next prey. Now official contact with the Tyranid race was in 741 of Millennium 41, when Hive Fleet Behemoth destroyed all life on the planet Tyran. However, examination of Imperial records has led them to speculate that the Tyranids have been present in the Milky Way galaxy for far longer, with dormant hive vessels being found dating back as far as Millennium 34, meaning that this invasion may have been coming for a very long time. Some of the galaxy's most notorious predatory beasts, such as the Catachan Devil or the Fenrisian Kraken, are possibly descendants of ancient hive fleets that fell on worlds and then devolved into native creatures. Now, the Tyranid forces are constantly changing and evolving at an unnatural speed, with new forms emerging even as hive fleets progress between star systems. It's unlikely that all types of Tyranids have been seen by the Imperium, and it's possible that they will not see every type of Tyranid organism. However, the most frequently seen species include hive tyrants, broodlords, gene stealers, the gaunt subspecies, which is rather numerous and has many different types, rippers, carnifexes, zoanthropes, and tygons. In addition to these, there are also dominatrixes, which ensure good communication between all the Tyranid forces. Now there are also Norn queens who live within the hive fleet and spawn new Tyranids. Now originally there were creatures called Zoats which were part of the Tyranid force, and some of the Majos biologists believe they are a leftover form from a much earlier Tyranid invasion, although they are now a rare sight amongst the newer fleets, and it's possible that their genetic material has been overridden in preference for other material gathered in the Milky Way. Now we need to speak about something which links the entire Tyranid force together, and that is the Hivemind. Now within the Tyranid fleet there are no true individuals, all are linked together in what is known as a Gesselt consciousness, known to us as a Hivemind, which controls the fleet and dictates their movements. Now the only reason for individual entities and creatures is to enact the Hivemind's will, be it a Ripper swarm or a bioship. If ever separated from the Hivemind, a Tyranid entity will revert to more animalistic behaviours, although this depends on the type of creature, with a gaunt being more animalistic, say, than a carnifex. They'll be far less dangerous than they were when connected to the hive fleet, although they are still more lethal than virtually every other animal found in nature. The hive mind is actually transmitted through some organisms in the Tyranid force, which are known as synapsis creatures. Now these are essentially amplifiers for the hive mind, transmitting information to and from the mind, allowing the army to work as a collective force. Now, if a Tyranid organism does go beyond synapsis range and loses contact, they do revert to their feral nature. However, there are creatures such as gene stealers and lictors which have the ability to operate beyond the range of synapsis. However, this is a rare trait and is not fostered amongst the Tyranid forces. Now, the fleets of hive ships that have entered the Milky Way galaxy have been broken up into independent fleets, although there are some crossover between these fleets. Now, these are Hive Fleet Behemoth, which is the first Imperial contact with the Tyranids in year 741 of Millennium 41, Hive Fleet Naga, which appeared in year 801 Millennium 41, Hive Fleet Gorgon, which appeared in year 899 Millennium 41, Hive Fleet Kraken, which was the year 993 Millennium 41, Hive Fleet Jormungandr, apologies for the pronunciation, which appeared in year 995 Millennium 41, and Hive Fleet Leviathan, which appeared in the year 997 Millennium 41. As you can see, the Hive Fleets are appearing more and more frequently within the Milky Way galaxy, indicating that the main force of the Tyranids may not have actually arrived yet in the galaxy, which is a terrifying thought, considering how destructive and dangerous these Hive Fleets already have proven. Now, what makes the Tyranids so scary is the fact that not only do they attack and kill enemy forces, they completely strip a planet of everything it has. Now, the process of assimilating a planet's biological and inorganic materials is the most important of the Hive Fleet as it travels across the stars. And the first stage is to locate a suitable target, usually with a vanguard organism which is sent out to scout for a suitable world to harvest. Then, infiltration organisms, such as gene stealers and lictors, will begin to investigate a planet to be sure the planet is ripe for harvest, and to weaken any planetary defences that may exist as the Hive Fleet appears. They act as a psychic beacon, and as they flourish, because they will be able to harvest material themselves, they will be able to indicate a rich feeding ground to the Hive Fleet, and so the Hive Fleet homes in on it. As it does, the Hive Fleet also generates something called the Shadow in the Warp. Now, it's unknown if this is a natural feature of the Hive Fleet or if it's deliberate. However, what it does is it blankets the entire system, making communication almost impossible, and also making travel exceptionally dangerous, thus meaning that any life on a planet is now trapped there, and so ready to be harvested. Now, initial planetary attacks will use spores to alter the flora of a planet, spreading more spores and beginning the growth of capillary towers, which will eventually ferry resources up to the fleet, whilst spores containing attack organisms begin the initial assault on the enemy forces, dropping everything from gargoyles and gaunts to larger Tyranids such as the Hive Tyrant and the Carnifex. Depending on the resources of the world, they may even go as far as to deploy bio-titans, which rival the Imperial Titans for size and power. Now, after the initial attack, where most of the forces will usually be defeated, swarms of flying gargoyles will herd the native population into a path of fast-moving gaunts, to be viciously slaughtered whilst the last defenders are crushed by larger bioorganisms. With all resistance crushed, the biomass is collected into digestion pools, everything from people and animals to plant life and even microbial life. This is then ferried up to the bioships in orbit, which cluster low to feed from the now complete capillary towers, which are hundreds of kilometres tall, which is rather impressive for a biological organism. Finally, the oceans and atmosphere are consumed, leaving the planet as a barren husk with only vague ruins indicating that there was ever life on this planet. Now, this is why the Tyranids are so scary to most of the Imperium, because their ability to literally harvest biological matter in order to replenish themselves means that they can never truly be defeated unless every single bioship has been removed. So they are as insidious as a virus, rather than them being just a single attack force which can be met head-on in battle. They are alien, unknowable, and probably one of the scariest Warhammer 40,000 Xenos that you can come across. This does not, of course, include Chaos, which is just bizarre. So I hope you enjoyed that overview video. That's everything I've got to mention today. If you've got anything you'd like to say, please leave a comment in the comment section below, or if you'd like to ask a question, you can do so. You can also ask a question via personal message to myself, or you can go to the Vox Relay, which is the Vaults of Terra forums, which is linked in the description below, and ask the questions there of the rather large community now, which I'm very happy to say has evolved through the Vaults of Terra. So that's everything I wanted to mention today. See you next time on the Vaults of Terra.